All right, Jeremy Miner, welcome to the Facebook Live today. Now, today's going to be very interesting because every week, if you've been following us for a while, every single week, week after week, 52 weeks a year. I think Christmas I don't do this. Christmas week I don't do any interviews. So 51 weeks out of every single year, we always interview a client from a completely different industry. And we break down their sales process that we've trained them, and we let you ask them any question that you want. Now, luckily for you, I have a client here that, just so you're aware, makes close to 7 figures a year in commissions. We're talking 750,000 plus, right in that range. Now, type in me if you want to ask a question, the burning question of your life as a salesperson, to a guy who makes $750,000 a year in commissions. Could that possibly help you sell more of your products or services? So we're going to bring out this gentleman in a second. We're going to talk to you about a story. We're going to break down his sales process. He's promised to give you a lot of golden nuggets and to answer some of your questions, okay? And we're going to talk about that. Lindsay, that's a great question. We're going to come back to you in a second. Now, here's what I want you to do before I bring this gentleman out here in a second. I want you to go down to your phone real quick, okay? And I want you to, on the comments section, I want you to post hashtag live. So if you're on the live right now, I'm going to have you post hashtag live. And if you're on the replay, I want you to post hashtag replay. Now, I better see tons of hashtag lives, and I better see tons of hashtag replays. So hashtag live if you're on the live, and post hashtag replay if you're on the replay. All right. Now, I want each of you to smash the heart button, and I want you to smash the like button. So smash the heart button and smash the like button. I better see tons of smashed hearts and tons of smashed likes if I'm going to bring this guy out who's making, 65,000 plus a month in commissions, and have him walk him through the sales process that we have taught him to use and his results he's gotten from that. And for you guys to ask him any questions on your mind. Now, here's what I'm also going to ask you as well. I want each of you to type in your biggest, most important question that you have on your mind. Is there an objection you're getting that you lose a ton of deals from? Type in that. Is there something that you're having a hard time connecting with your prospects where they're staying service level? Ask us a question about that. Whatever the question you have, now is the time to post it in here. And when I go through this interview, we're going to pick probably 5, 6, 7 of the best questions, and me and this gentleman are going to actually answer them for you. Now, if you want to start making more money, so type in me if you want to sell more. I mean, that's kind of a rhetorical question. Type in me if you want to double your commissions in the next 12 months that you made the last 12 months. Type in me if you want to double your commissions, what you made last year compared to this year. That should be everybody on here, right? Even if you already make 200,000 a year. This gentleman's going to talk about it. He was already making 200,000 a year when he came here, but he wanted to make more. So type in me if that's you. Okay, we're going to talk about that today. All right. Now, if you're wanting to start making your first 10 grand a month in commissions with what you sell, type in me if you're wanting to make your first 15 grand every month. Type in me with what you sell right now, same industry you're in right now. Type in me if you want to make 20 grand every single month in your industry. Now, I'm going to bring out this gentleman, Mr. Farmer. How are you?
What's up, Jeremy? Mighty fine.
Okay. So, Bill, where you live in Missouri, right? You're from my state that I'm from.
Mm-hmm. Columbia, Missouri. Just right up the road.
Columbia, Missouri. Yeah, I still have my lake house. I sold my house in Springfield when we opened up our headquarters in Scottsdale about 2 years ago, Scottsdale, Arizona. Sold the house in Springfield. Still have the lake house. I was there back in May. You got to come down and see me.
Cool. Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about this. So you were, the thing that I find interesting about this, because I talked with you a little bit before, and why don't you tell everybody what you sell? Like, what industry are you in?
Yeah, I'm in home improvement, B2C, specifically insulated, seamless, maintenance-free siding, a little bit of windows, siding windows.
So siding and windows, okay.
Right.
You sell siding and windows. And from what I understand, right out of college, you got right into the home improvement industry. You're
Right.
talking 25, 30 years ago, right?
Right. Exactly.
Okay. And when you came to us a couple years ago, you were already doing well. I think you were making 250,000 already,
Mhm.
right? I mean,
Doing okay.
a lot of people would be like, hey, $250,000. Like, I know everything. Like, I know everything about selling. I can't be taught
Mhm.
anything there is to know. But what made you feel that wasn't enough for you?
I don't know. I feel like I was plateauing a little bit, and I knew I could do better. And then what sparked my interest in NEPQ, I saw you and Bradley have a conversation, a podcast. I heard some of the numbers that you were producing, and I thought, well, what the heck? If he's doing that well, why can't I at least try to at least drive to get to that maybe level, or at least come close to that too. So
I think you saw me on a podcast with
yeah,
Brad, right?
exactly.
So you jumped in. I think you got into our advanced NEPQ 3.0 portal. And I remember I seen like a testimonial from you like maybe a year and a half ago. And you're like, man, like I was already doing well. I was making like 25 grand. And I had my best month ever. I made like $90,000 in
Right.
commission. Tell us the process. So you get into the training and what started to happen within a few months of getting involved in the training.
Yeah, things started to click probably after like 90 days. I started to understand. I was doing what you were telling me to do, but then after 90 days, I was understanding why I was doing it. So I think
that's the key. Why is it so important?
So I understand and motivate how I'm moving that customer through that process. Yeah. And in case they throw me a curveball, I know exactly where to go back and to pick up what I'm trying to accomplish with the customer.
See, that's the key, because we can teach you word for word every single question to ask. We can even teach you the right tonality. And that will work if the call goes perfect.
Right.
But as we all know, most calls don't go perfect,
Never.
Right? And so if we understand the psychology behind NEPQ, if we understand why am I even asking connection questions? What am I trying to find out? What am I helping them find out? Why am I asking situation questions? Why am I helping them understand what their real situation is, not just me? And once we start to conceptualize each stage of NEPQ and why we're asking it, then like you said, when the curveball comes or the changeup or the slider or the knuckle curve, whatever comes, you know exactly how to react. You know exactly how to react and then move them forward. You can move, like you're flexible, right?
Uh-huh.
No call ever really goes 100% scripted. That's very, very key. And once you get that in your mind, like you said, Bill, what did your prospects started to do? Because you were pretty successful before. So what changed?
Yeah, they just became more engaging. It seemed like they started asking me a lot more questions, and they just seemed to be more interested in what I had to offer. I was just pulling out some of their concerns and letting them see some of the problems that they had, or some of the problems they didn't even know they actually had.
Okay, so you started to learn how to get them to let their guard down, basically. You let their guard down, disarm them. You started to help them through your questioning, your tonality ability, to get them to start, like you said, see problems that they didn't realize they had, right? So instead of just finding one problem, like, there's a cold draft coming in this window, we need to get it fixed. Now you're able to help them find maybe 2 or 3 or 4 other problems they didn't really know they had. Or maybe they knew they had a problem, but they didn't understand the depth of the problem, like how bad it was. And especially they didn't understand the consequences of what happens if they don't do anything about solving it. That's really the key. Okay, so let's break this down, and then we're going to answer some questions as we kind of go in and out here. Maybe give an example of just, in your industry, because, I've written tons of sales structures for space, or, your space out of 158 industries we train. I looked it up. I think it's around 10th or 11th, biggest one that we train now. It's really grown since you know what it is. You just brought in all home improvement people all over the world, I guess.
There you go.
So what's a good connection question that you've learned? Like there's typically about 4 you're going to ask for your space, but just give us an example of one good connection question you've learned and how your prospects react to that.
Yeah, my first one is in reference to the ad, or the reason they called in. So I asked him, the ad that you saw on TV or Facebook, what about the ad helped you grab your attention?
Yeah. And typically, how do they respond?
Yeah.
How do they respond to something like that?
Yeah, they'll say, "Well, I thought it was." They'll say something about the ad, and then sometimes I'll go in again and ask for a specific. Well, was there anything specific about the ad that helped you give us a call? And then
Yes,
sometimes,
I'm curious. Like when you saw the ad on TV, what was it that they were going over that caused you to want to look into this further? You can
right,
even say to look into this further. Like if they're more standoffish because you're coming into the home, right?
right, exactly.
Sometimes you can tell by their body language it might be a little bit standoffish. So
Mhm.
if you see a prospect that's standoffish when you're reading their tone and body language, instead of saying attracted your attention, you would rephrase it to, what was it about the ad that I guess caused you to look into this, to want to look into this further? It's a little bit
Okay.
more neutral and it doesn't trigger as much. So that's kind of a tweak on some of your
Okay.
people who standoffish there. There's other connection questions you have to ask after that, and there's one before, but we don't have time to go through that. Well, how about a situation question? What's a good situation question that you can give everybody that you've learned? There's about 4 or 5 for your space, but what's kind
Right.
of good?
Yeah, I want to know, like, if it's a siding product, did they install it or was it there when they moved in? So how I ask that question is, well, since you guys moved in the house, did you guys have the siding installed, or was it already there when you guys moved in the home?
Yeah, and that's a good curious tone, like you're triggering curiosity. So what Bill just showed you there, and you're not really role playing, you're just kind of doing it. But
Right.
in situation questions, you're using more of a curious tone. And everybody write this down. Your tone is how your prospect interprets the intention behind your question. Your tone is how your prospect interprets the intention of why you're asking the question. So if I come in situation questions with a curious tone, now, was the siding, here when you blank, or did you have it installed? See my facial expression, like
Mhm.
can tell I'm curious, right? And so the prospect opens up because I'm communicating that I'm curious with my tone. How about let's answer a question here while we're keep going through it.
Okay.
I've got some questions in here. Let's see. Johnny has a good one from Facebook. How to overcome I need to think about it.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on that? So before NEPQ, how often would you get that objection?
Every day.
Every day. Okay. How about now? Are you getting it less?
Yeah, it is. The objections, it's pre-handled in the beginning or all the way through the process. So I don't get it. I still get objections. I don't get them as much. They're not as frequent, and I'm not spending a great deal of time in the close process like I used to do. I would spend a half an hour, hour and 15, 20 minutes in a close trying to make the deal happen. Now,
Yeah.
15, 20 minutes, and I'm usually done.
So typically what you'd want to do is, Johnny, I'll help answer that question. So when the prospect says, I want to think it over, I just want to make sure you understand, Johnny, that's not an objection.
Right.
No prospect sits there after you leave and is like, I really need to think this over. And they start writing it out on a piece of paper and they go to it and they spend an hour every day thinking about what
Mhm.
Bill talked to them about. When somebody says, I want to think it over, all that means is that most of the time, something we said or didn't ask triggered uncertainty in the prospect's brain. And when we have uncertainty, we hide the objection. We don't want the salesperson to know the real objection because why? If we tell the salesperson the real objection, what is the salesperson going to do?
Jump all over it.
Jump all over it, right? So it's a defensive mechanism when we say, I want to think it over, because that's not an objection. So all you do is you just agree with them. Oh yeah, that's not a problem. What's your time frame on getting back to me in the next day or two to see if I'd be available for you? Now, why would I do that? Because I have to get them to do what? Let their guard down.
Mhm.
For me to find out what their real objection is. Because if I said, oh, well, what do you need to think? Well, you said that you really liked the siding and that you needed it. Like, what do you need to think about? All that's going to do is get them to get defensive. It's just a big decision. I never make rash decisions like this. I'm looking around at other quotes and other companies. So my job first is to get them to let their guard down. So I just agree with them. Oh, yeah, that's not a problem. What's your time frame on getting back to me in the next day or two just to see if I'd be available for you? Okay. And then I set up a time, okay, like a time there. And then they feel like I'm getting ready to leave. Okay. After I've got that time, the calendar commitment, I won't go into that. I simply then say, Hey, so before I leave, what was it that you were wanting to, I guess, go over in your mind, just so I know what questions you'll have when we talk tomorrow? And whatever they say next, that's the real concern. Notice when you ask that, most people are like, well, it's just a big decision and I don't know if we have the budget for it. Well, now I know what type of concern do I have? The money concern. And now I'm there to help them overcome the money concern. And then I can loop back around and still close that deal. Johnny, that was like a shortened version of your rejection, but I hope that helped you. Okay. Do you have anything to add to that, Bill?
Yeah, sometimes I'll to reduce their defenses. I'll say, yeah, I can certainly appreciate that. I can respect that. Before you guys go and have a think about it, let me ask you: do you feel like what we do will actually be the answer for you?
Okay. So you kind of use like kind of the money objection and kind of reroute it to think it over the way you started.
Well, I want to find out if they go think about, is this really going to be their answer? Is this going to be the solution that they're thinking about? And then after they say, yeah, and then why do you think it would be the answer for you then? What's specific about what we do you think would help you the most? And then before you go have a think about, I'm just curious, what exactly would you want to think over just to see if I can even help?
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, I think those two versions there, Johnny. Hopefully that helped you. That's a good question. Okay. Let's see. Raj, in our business, how do we ask for the higher remuneration the other person's not willing to give? I don't know what you mean by that. Maybe clarify that for us. Okay, here's a good case. Here's a question kind of outside of tactical skills. Casey from Facebook. What does your day-to-day look like, Bill? Like you wake up to the, end of business day. What does your day look like?
Yeah, it's pretty busy. We do a lot of being a home improvement. We have a big market, so we do a lot of driving. So I'll get up, maybe do a Zoom meeting throughout the week, maybe once or twice a week. I'll hit the gym a little bit, do some personal things, get organized for my appointments, and then jump in the car.
Time out. You wake up at what time?
I usually get up at 6:37, 6 o'clock, 7.
So you get up at 6:30. What's your next move after 6:30? You brush your teeth, go to the bathroom. After that,
Yeah. I'll do a little bit of reading. So I'll read some stuff to get the juices going. Look into some things. I'll do some training. So I'm always looking to grow a little bit with some stuff. So I'll spend maybe 45 minutes, an hour on some literature to help me grow. Then I'll do a workout or something, grab some chow. Then
what time are you out of the door? Are you headed to the office or your first appointment?
Yeah, usually to my first appointments. We schedule like appointments at a 10 o'clock, a 2 o'clock, and a 6 o'clock. So we do a lot of evenings because people work 9 to 5. The best time to talk to them is after 5. So we're in the home a lot in the evenings. And then in correlation to the appointment and when we get home, sometimes it's pretty late. So I'll put in pretty commonly 12-hour days is a pretty common day.
Okay. Now, do you do that every day of the week, or are you doing like 3 or 4 days a week and one day?
We'll do that Monday through Thursday, a half a day on a Friday, and then we work half a day on our Saturday too. Saturday's a good business day to work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. That's valid. Okay. Let's, before we answer a couple more questions, problem awareness. What's a good problem awareness question that you've been taught that you're using to help the prospect see that maybe they have problems they didn't realize?
Yeah, initially I ask them the siding you guys have now. Is there anything you like about the siding you currently have?
Okay, so you ask them what they like about the siding first,
right?
Okay, and then what do you do after that?
And then, and sometimes they'll say, "Well, I don't like anything about it. That's one of the reasons you're here, to see if we can fix it." I go, "Well, tell me what are some things if you don't like? What are some things if you could change? What are some of those things you could change if you could?"
Okay, and they'll kind of open up, and then I'm assuming when they open up, based on their answers, you're probably clarifying and probing.
Right.
Give us an example of how that might look like.
So they got vinyl siding and it's fading, it's starting to buckle and warp. And I asked them, since you guys moved in, how long has that been going on for? The fading, the warping, the siding. Did you guys notice that from the time you moved in? And does that have an impact on you? That the siding's starting to warp and buckle and doesn't look good? Does that have an impact on you, having it look like that?
How do they respond to that?
And they'll say, yeah, we're almost a little bit embarrassed when we pull up the house or we have family over or friends over. We're a little bit embarrassed to see that. And I asked them, well, what do you mean by embarrassed? What do you mean by that? And they go, well,
What do
you mean by that?
Yeah. A lot of home improvement solves a problem, but it also solves an emotional need.
Emotional need. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like if you're selling, cabinets, flooring, countertops, siding, things on the outside of the home, a lot of it's not just to solve the problem, but it's also, like you said, to like solve an emotional need because they feel embarrassed because their neighbors are looking at this house and it's fading and those type of things. You might even look at the siding and look at like, this siding's not bad. I mean, what do you, can I ask why you feel like it's being the question I have to ask there? Can I ask why you feel like this isn't good enough for you or something like that? I'll come up with something for you, but there's another spin on there. You can do that for a first problem awareness question. Okay, let's go to another question here. Let's see. Strawberry happiness from YouTube. This is a good one. I am having a hard time with tonality. What tonality do you use for which questions? You want to take a stab at that, Bill?
Mm-hmm. Well, it depends on, like, give me an example. What questions are we asking for? So
let me give you an example, Strawberry. So let's say that a prospect's not opening up to you.
Right.
Okay. I want to use more of a concern tone to get them to open up. Okay. So let's say if they're procrastinating, they're not making a decision, and let's say you've met with them a couple of times or talking with them a couple of times. I'm going to lean in and I want you to pay attention to my body. I'm going to lean in. I'm going to put my hand on my chest. So let me give an example before I even get this. Let's say that you're really upset at your kid. If I yell and my hands are out like this, hey, why do you do that all the time? Okay. That communicates to my kid that I'm angry and mad at them. But if I simply put my hand on my chest, why do you do that all the time? What does that signify? That I'm concerned and I'm disappointed in them, but not necessarily angry and mad at them. And so I'm going to get a different reaction just by putting my hand on my chest rather than going like this, just body language. Okay. See that? All right. So what I might lean and say, John, can I ask you something? See how I lower my tone? Yeah, sure, Jeremy. What's really holding you back from moving forward? Now, why would I lower my tone and put my hand on my chest and have that in a concerned tone? Because it communicates to the prospect that I'm concerned for them. I'm concerned that their situation will stay the same. I'm concerned that their problems will stay the same. And I'm concerned that they'll never get what they said they wanted. So that's where I'd use a concern tone. Now, if I'm in consequence questions, what's a good consequence question that you use for your space retraining?
Yeah, I love that. It's one of my favorite questions. They go, what if you guys don't do anything about this, and say over the next 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years, and things get worse, the siding starts to fade more and starts to come off, prices get more expensive. What would happen then?
What if you don't do anything about this? The siding keeps getting worse and the prices keep going up with inflation. See what we and Bill just did? We just did a different variation of the same thing. That was more of a skeptical, challenging tone. Now, why would we want to use a skeptical, challenging tone in our consequence question? The reason is because at the end of our solution awareness questions, we've got the prospect to see and feel what their future looks like once the newfound problems are solved. So we have this on this emotional high. So with the consequence question, it's almost like we're ripping it away from them and getting them to defend themselves on why they feel like they have to change now. Is that a good thing for you guys, to get your prospect to defend themselves on why they need to change their situation now and do that with you? Probably a good thing. So how do your prospects react to that consequence question?
Yeah, a lot of them comes back, well, majority of the time say, well, we can't keep going on like it is. We got to get something done.
Well, you could. I mean, why not push it down the road like a lot of homeowners do, who end up, having to pay 20 or 30% more 6 months from now.
Mm-hmm.
See what I just did? See, what I'm doing there is it's almost like I'm pushing back, and that causes the prospect to want to pull me back in. I mean, why not push it down the road like a lot of homeowners do? And then what's a negative consequence? What would happen if they're siding? Like, give me an example. What's a negative?
Your repair expense goes up. There's wood you have to replace. The material cost get worse.
What happens if the siding just like goes to crap? Like, how would it affect their home? What would it do besides just prices?
Sometimes energy prices escalate substantially. We're able to save a lot on, besides my house maintenance free, we can save a lot on their utility bills. Resale value goes down. There's multiple things that happen by not doing anything.
Well, you could. I mean, but for you, like, why look at putting the new siding in now? Like, why not push it down the road like a lot of homeowners do? And then a year later, when they have no choice, the prices are 25% more.
Right.
Well, the reason why we have to do it now is because of, and then they just keep creating a bigger gap, right? What about let's go to a couple more questions here. This is good. Okay, Rick has a good question. What if they respond with, "I'll get back to you when I'm ready"? Do you ever get that anymore?
Really not. They're there by the time I get to the commitment stage. They're pretty much there. I mean,
So Rick, that should be an objection you hardly ever get. In my 17-year sales career before I retired and started 7th level, I'm seriously, like, out of the thousands of prospects I talked to, I don't think I got that objection more than the fingers on these hands.
Right.
It's a preventable objection. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, there probably was no gap. There was an established need, that there was a very small gap whatsoever. Right?
It's your questioning your tonality ability didn't get them to emotionally open up and go below the surface, and there's no gap there. And when there's no gap, they don't feel any need to change, right? If they stay surface level with you and they're not emotionally involved because you couldn't get them to open up, what's the biggest emotional driver of a human being that causes them to change? Pain, right? Pain drives change in a human being. So if we can't get them to relive the pain of the problem and or emotional need or what future problems would be if they don't do anything, there's no reason for them to move forward. They don't feel a justification to do that. So that's a problem that you've got to fix. That's a downstream issue where you should never get that objection, okay? Can you guys talk more about probing on pain points? Pain points. So let's say, Bill, I'll give you an example here and we'll kind of wrap it up with this. So let's say the prospect, you ask them a question and they tell you something that they really don't like. Give us an example of what that might look like for your space and then how you probe to pull out more. You did a little bit ago when you're like, how long has that been going on? What impact?
Right.
Maybe a different example.
Right. So maybe a problem they're having with windows is drafty, leaky windows. They require maintenance. Aesthetically, they don't look good. But energy is a big driver too. The energy costs we've recently, since COVID, got some surcharges with energy costs. Energy costs are starting to go up. And now it's starting to become a big part of the budget and how that affects their budget. But you guys paying that larger $300-$400 monthly utility bill, does that have an impact on your budget?
Yeah. So you start with, and how long have they been making you, like, how long have they been like raising your rates, like making you pay the rate hikes?
Right.
You always say rate hikes. Oh, it's been going on blah, 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 blah because of the windows. So having to pay the extra $400 a month, has that had a impact on you? Notice how I lower my voice into that concern tone. Now the concern tone causes them to think deeper about that question I'm asking. And a lot of times they're like, oh, you have no idea. Well, in what way though? Cut in right real quick. In what way? That's probing on pain points. Or they might say like, oh, we really need the siding in because, like you said, Bill, we just feel embarrassed when our neighbors are. Hold on. You feel embarrassed? Or how do you mean by you feel embarrassed? Or, okay, but getting the siding fixed, like besides just, feeling embarrassed from your neighbor seeing it, why so important to you now though? See, that's another way to probe right there. So hopefully Facebook user, that answered your question, right? Okay, Bill, Closing. What's a good commitment question you've learned how to use? We won't talk about the presentation and some other things. We don't have time, but
Sure.
maybe a commitment question that you've learned how to use and how they
Yeah, at the end, I just say, do you feel like this could be your answer?
And how do they? Okay. Now notice he used the word "do you feel" rather than "do you think." Why would we want to use the word "feel" rather than "think"? Because we want the prospect to stay on their emotional side of their brain. And if you say think, that moves them to their logical side of the brain. And human beings buy on emotion and justified logic, right? So it's important to say feel. A lot of people say, do you think this could be the answer? Well, I don't know. I need to think about it. But if I say, do you feel like this could be the answer for you? Oh, yeah. Well, hold on. In what way, though? Right. So that's another probe.
Right.
Okay, Bill. I think I did half the talking there. I cut you off all the time. Any last words of advice? I'm coming for you guys. It's late here. I'm in Poland. I'm supposed to be on vacation. I'm doing this live for you. Don't worry. I'll be back for the 5-day challenge next week that we're having Tuesday through Saturday. I will be back on Sunday. People have been like, are you coming back for the challenge? I'm not going to do it here in Poland in a conference room, a hotel. That's for sure. Any last words of advice, Bill, from maybe a newbie getting started in sales, or maybe a vet who is a vet like you that's already doing well that might want to take their game to a new level like you did?
Yeah, I'd say with the training that you provide, Jeremy, is I had some confidence before, but now when I initially meet with a client, I feel I have a great deal of poise. And
What's caused you to have the poise? What causes a salesperson to have poise?
Well, I believe you give me the answers to the test. So all the information you give me, I have an abundance of information I can share with the customer. My job is to pick the right answer for the right question comes at. So that gives me at ease because I feel I have all the confidence in the world to move that customer to see the problems they have and then bring them aboard. So it's like taking a test. You know, at my fraternity years ago, we had files of tests, and you could take a class, go through the file, and some of the tests were the same. Of course, you'd ace the test. But so if you have all the answers to the test before you win, you should ace the test. So, which is what I do. So I just feel really confident and comfortable when I meet with a customer.
Okay, I want to make sure what Bill said is 100% accurate. As a sales professional, the only thing, let me repeat myself, the only thing that will give you collective confidence and poise when you get into your sales appointments is having the right skills. Period. If you're a neurosurgeon and you don't know how to perform a successful brain surgery, and you go into the first brain surgery patient because you skipped half of your classes, how confident are you going to be? Not very confident, right? So what Bill's saying is once you acquire the right skills, what I mean by skills, I don't mean by meditating. I love meditating. It's not going to help you sell. Why does your prospect care if you meditate, right? If you journal, that's great for your personal life. How's it going to help you use the right questions to ask or the right tone? I love taking cold plunges. I'm not sure that's really going to help you with your tonality on the phone, though. See where I'm going there. Those are great things. Your mindset is great, but I can tell you all the personal development work in the world will help you zero when you get on the phone and the prospect says hello and you don't know what to say or ask that causes the prospect to emotionally open up, go below the surface, and they stay surface level with you and throw out objections. No personal development will ever help you get through that. You're going to have to keep reading those books like every 10 minutes because you're going to go through so much objection. What helps you, what Bill is saying, is the right words, is the right cadence, is the right verbal cues, the right verbal pausing, the right tone in your sales process, the right questions. Once you acquire that sales ability, you make a ton of sales. And when you make a ton of sales, does that give you a lot of confidence? Yes. Okay. All right. So well done, Bill. Hey, Bill, if you've got to go, you can go. I've got a few more minutes here that I've got to get on this. I don't know if you have an appointment, but some of you have been messaging us right now asking to join the 5-day challenge. So write this down. Next week, we're having a free 5-day sales challenge on how to become a top 1% earner in your industry. So next week, we've been announcing all of this all over social media. Ads are everywhere. Typically on these challenges, we have anywhere from 12,000 to 20,000 that people attend these. It's a virtual challenge that we do out of my corporate offices in Scottsdale, Arizona. Next week, it starts Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern each day. We will go about 95 minutes to 2 hours. I always say 95 minutes, but every time it always goes 2 hours. Sometimes we go longer than that, okay? Now, day one, I'm going to train you, myself and my CEO, Matt Ryder, okay? And also one of our sales trainers, Kayla Hodges as well, that we acquired her company a while ago from a female point of view. We are going to train you, okay, 3 steps that you probably are missing in your sales process that is preventing you from being a top 1% earner. We're going to teach you specific skills around what's called problem finding rather than product pushing. We're going to teach you specific questions to ask at the right time, especially with the right tone. And the third thing we're really going to hone in on day number 1 is how to eliminate sales resistance by simply relanguaging some of the words you're using now that are triggering sales resistance and causing your prospects to emotionally shut down. That's just day number 1. Holy hell. Day number 2, which will be Wednesday. What is that? July 26th or whatever. Day number 2 is all about objection prevention and handling. How many of you lose sales to, I want to think it over. I need to talk to my spouse. I need to get more quotes. Can you just send me more information? I'll get back to you. Can you give me references? And you never hear back from them. I saw some negative reviews about your company online. I'm not going to buy. I need to do more research. How many of you lose sales just from those? We're going to go over 10 main objections that you are losing deals from now. And I'm going to show you word for word tracks on how to help them overcome that. Day number 3, we're going to focus on NEPQ, neuro-emotional persuasion questions. I'm going to show you industry-specific examples from all sorts of industries, including yours, from connection questions, situation, problem awareness. We're going to show you the whole sales structure, everything revealed on day number 3. Day number 4, which will be Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern next week, we are actually going to bring out one of our clients, and you are going to hear them talk to a real prospect live using NEPQ. Can you imagine that? Oh, those are killer ones on day number 4. And then day 5 will only be the most committed will be invited to day 5. And that's where we'll bring out several of our clients from different industries, B2C, B2B, door-to-door, B2G. And we're going to break down their sales process with their scripts and show you how to make NEPQ specific for your industry. So we're going to go ahead and drop in the registration link. You will have to register for this. If you do not register, you will not be there. So make sure you guys register. I'm going to have somebody on my team drop this here in the Facebook group, Sales Revolution. We'll have them dropped on LinkedIn and the Facebook business page. Make sure you register like immediately and make sure you show up on time. I show up on time and we start right on time and we go straight to the end. And I can assure you, this will probably be some of the most tactical training you have ever heard, even from paid courses. And we're going to do it for you for free for next week. So type in me in the comments section if you want the registration link, and we will send you that registration link. So just message me directly. Hey, I want to go to just message me challenge, and we will send you the registration link to register right now. You guys better get on it. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to see it because it's on Zoom. So you have to register for it. And when you register, make sure you check your email, check your spam folder. If you use Gmail, check your social updates or promotions folder. Sometimes it will go in your spam folder as well. Okay. Bill, thanks for being on. And I'll send you a message about next week. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, everybody.
Good
night. No trouble, guys. Hey guys, if you enjoyed these, here's another you can watch right over here. Join our free Sales Revolution group. Click the link below, join us, and we're going to help you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you real soon.